We are talking about slopes of lines and equations of lines, and we want to find slopes of lines and use slopes to identify parallel and perpendicular lines. There's a couple different ways we can do it. The first way we're going to look at is calculate the slope of a line using a graph. And we have two examples that we can graph here. And we can see that slope is represented by m in our equation. Remember, y equals mx plus b. And that is rise over run, or y over x. And so when we go to graph this, we can graph both of these 2 points here. So we have A, and we don't have this marked, so we should mark out what our grid is. And I'm going to count by 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we can graph point A and point B. So A is negative 3, 0. Remember, we do the x first, so negative 3, 1, 2, 3. Negative 3, 0 is right there. And that's going to be point A. So I'll put point A right there just to mark it. And then B is 3, 4. So over 3, up 4. And that is going to be B. And then when we're drawing linear equations, we want to make sure that we have a line drawn. So we'll use a straight edge. Now, how do we calculate the slope? Well, hopefully we drew it well, and it intersects. We want to find points that intersect. So we can see right here on this grid, and on this grid, it doesn't intersect at the intersection of a grid or at an ordered pair that we can necessarily see. However, right here, it does intersect at the grid. And then where's the next one that it perfectly intersects? And that is at point B, which is right there. So I want to make a triangle from these 2 points. And then I want to be able to count. Remember, it says rise over run. So m is equal to rise, which is change in y, over change in x. So in this case, our change in y is we go up to 1, 2. So that's going to be up a positive 2. So that goes in the numerator. And then our change in x is 1, 2, 3. That's over 3. And so that's our slope. Our slope is rise over run, or up 2 over 3. And if we continue to go up 2 over 3, up 2 over 3, we'll keep hitting that line. The next one that we have is we have graph the points C and D. So C is 2, negative 4. So to the right 2 and down 4. And that's going to be point C. And then point D is negative 4, 2. So negative 4 and then up 2. And that's going to be point D. And we want to graph those lines. So graph the line between those. And again, we want to use a straight edge because these are lines that we're graphing. And we want to do the same thing. We want to find where it exactly intersects. In this one, looks like it's going to be a little bit easier. So if I go down 1 over 1, I keep hitting. It hits every time. If I drew it well, every time it hits the graph, hits the grid. And so this is going to be down 1. and then to the right one. So when we go to do our equation, slope is equal to the change in y over the change in x. And in this case, our change in y is -1, or we went down 1. And our change in x is +1. -1 divided by 1, so that is equal to -1. And something that we're going to see quite a bit is the slope monster. That will help us decide if our equation was correct. So the slope monster, if we draw the slope monster, where's a good spot? Over here on the side, we have a slope like this. That would be a negative slope. And a slope like this, that would be a positive slope. And that matches with what we had here. This pink line here starts at the top and goes down to the bottom. Starts at the top, goes down to the bottom. That's negative. That's negative, so that matches. And here we start in the lower left-hand corner and we work to the upper right-hand corner. So that was positive, so that matches. The two that it's really going to help us out with is our vertical and horizontal. So horizontal is 0, a slope of 0, and that's why we put those kind of look like dimples on the side of the mouth. Those are zeros, and this U at the bottom of the nose kind of makes it look like a nose. This is undefined. And we'll talk about that when we get to it.